of the directors of BDI Resourcing. I'm going to talk to you today about the various routes to becoming a consultant in the UK. So that is CESR, CCT and CESR combined programme. We'll take you through the various routes, the pros and cons of both, dispel a few myths and give you a few tips on the best routes. Okay, so the first route of entry to the Specialist Register is Certificate of Completion of Training, that's CCT. That tends to be the route that UK doctors, EU doctors take if they've had no international experience and they come in right at the very beginning of the training programme, so perhaps from an FY1, FY2 level, and they go all the way through their CT training, their specialist training, and right up the way to consultant level once they get their CCT. That's not usually applicable to international doctors, so there is an equivalent route, which is the CESR route, CESR, Certificate of Eligibility for Specialist Registration. And what this does is allows international doctors to take their international experience, their background, their qualifications, and bring it into the UK and have it recognised by the GMC as equivalent to the UK. So for some doctors that might be a full CESR programme, so they may have done all of their training and have it all recognised by the GMC. That would be a true CESR route. Or for some doctors it may be the combined programme, whereby they bring some of their consultant level experience or training experience from overseas and bring that to the UK, and then they also complete or add on to those skills with some UK training as well, and have a combined programme equally to give them their CESR route of entry to the GMC. So two routes, CCT and CESR, a combined route, CESR CP or CESR combined programme. Okay, so there is one assumption that lots of international doctors have, and it's not necessarily true, and that is that CCT is better than CESR. Now, the reason often for that is for international doctors who intend to become a consultant in the UK and use that experience and take it back to their home country. Now, some countries will prefer to recognise CCT as the better qualification. However, if your long-term plans aren't to return home, they're to work as a consultant in the UK, and even if you are planning to take those skills back and use them in your home country, not all countries will take CCT as the better route. They will simply look for specialist registration. That is the most important thing to most employers, wherever you are in the world, with only a few exceptions. So don't fall into the trap that CCT is necessarily better than CESR. Both will give you the same outcome. Both will put you on the specialist register and allow you to work as a consultant in the UK. Okay, so how do you actually make an application for CESR? The only route is to apply via the GMC. So you'll send all your documents to the GMC, who then make the application on your behalf to the Royal College. So if you're a medicine doctor at the Royal College of Physicians, a radiologist, the Royal College of Radiologists, and so on. There is one thing to note with this though, it is an incredibly lengthy process. I know some doctors that have had to send over 800 pages worth of evidence in order to get their CESR. So you're going to have to compile a lot of work. It may be audits, it may be research papers that you've written, it may be logbooks of all the procedures that you've done over the last 5 years. So there is a hell of a lot of information for you to compile. So be prepared for that. It does take a long time. Be patient with it. So once you've compiled all of your evidence, the GMC are going to test your background, your skills against various criteria. They are number 1, knowledge, skills and performance, and number 2, safety and quality, number 3, communication, partnership and teamwork, and number 4, maintaining trust. They'll then get back to you with feedback on whether or not you have met all of the criteria of being a consultant in the UK or equivalent to someone that's been through the training to be a consultant in the UK. And there may be gaps in your knowledge, there may be gaps in your skills that they ask you to work on. Your employer should support you through that, they should help you with that. And eventually you'll be able to compile a full portfolio that says, yes, this doctor is equivalent to a doctor who's trained as a consultant in the UK, equivalent to CCT, and you'll have your full CESR. Okay, so a few top tips when you are applying for CESR. First of all, it is important to organise your e-portfolio very, very early on. So when you're applying for the GMC and you use Epic to verify your documents, you're actually granted access to a free e-portfolio system at that point, so you can compile all of your qualifications, your certificates. We really, really recommend using that from an early stage to make sure that you've kept on top of all of your documentation. The last thing you want to be doing is scrambling around for documents that you've already sent over to the GMC. There's absolutely no need for that. Acknowledge early on your missing skills and experience. So it would be very rare for an international training scheme to be exactly the same as a UK training scheme, understandably. You might already be aware of gaps in your skills, of gaps in your knowledge, so it's highly recommended that you bring this up with your employer, ask them to support you, ask them to give you the extra work. Perhaps that's shadowing a consultant in a clinic, or having access to an extra audit session per week, whatever it might be, to bring your skills up to date. It's worth acknowledging that early. Third piece of advice is to upload as much evidence as possible. You can never upload too much evidence when it comes to CESR. As I mentioned earlier, I know of some doctors that have had to upload over 800 pages of documentation. Now that's a really thorough and comprehensive application for CESR. I recommend you do exactly the same. You will not get through CESR with a minimal amount of uploads, a minimal amount of documents and certificates, so make sure you put lots in there. And finally, just remember it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. It is going to take you time, but it will be worth it. Just as in the early days when you were registering for your GMC, it is a long process. It's worthwhile to be working in the UK. It's exactly the same with CESR. If it's worthwhile becoming a consultant in the UK, then it is going to take some time, but it will be worth it in the end. A big thank you for listening today. I hope you've learned something about CESR, about CCT, and do get in touch with us if you need any help, any advice, or if you're looking for a consultant level post in the UK. We'd be happy to help. Thanks.